It actually took a very tough beating to get me out of the sport.
By Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao.
Oscar de la Hoya stood in the gym, the air thick with the sound of gloves on a bag, witnessing a familiar figure shadowboxing with the same intensity that once defined his prime.
Beat the hell out of me. Manny Pacquiao would be right in front of me. He would, after hitting me 15 times, stop!
De la Hoya had come to see if the legend still lived in those fists. What he found was a fighter who had come back not for nostalgia, but for the visceral thrill of battle, the same intensity that once defined his prime. He knew boxing was a young man's game, yet here was Manny Pacquiao, 46 years old and 4 years out of official competition, moving with a speed and ferocity that defied every expectation.
Would be ready to hit him, and he would be wide open, and I couldn't pull the trigger. I just couldn't.
De la Hoya's first words after sharing sparring rounds and sweat-soaked drills with Pacquiao crackled through the gym like a live wire. He didn't dwell on the years that had passed. He didn't sugarcoat his own legacy or the weight of Pacquiao's storied past. He simply spoke, his voice tight with respect and
Still remember to this day the conversation I had with Oscar when I first told him, hey, you should fight Pacquiao.
De la Hoya described how Pacquiao, a man who once punched a hole in the fabric of boxing history by claiming titles in 8 weight classes, now trained with the precision of a surgeon and the ferocity of a teenager. Each punch was measured yet explosive. Each footwork drill was executed as though Pacquiao's body remembered more than 4 decades of war in the ring. De la Hoya admitted he had been wrong to think age would dull that edge.
Oscar laughed. He's too little. He's too little, that guy. There is a difference of almost 20 pounds.
The conversation turned to Pacquiao's motivations, and De La Hoya asked the question on everyone's mind: why return now when there was nothing left to prove? Pacquiao's reply, a simple declaration of love for the sweet science and a hunger to face the best resonated louder than any knockout blow. De La Hoya nodded, acknowledging that true fighters never really retire. They just wait for the next challenge to reignite their spirit. Watching him move, De La Hoya saw that Pacquiao had not lost the lightning-quick reflexes or the blistering power that once made opponents tremble. Those 4 years off from official bouts had done more than rest his body. They had stoked a deeper fire. At 46, Pacquiao's comeback defied every stereotype. Younger challengers had knocked on boxing's door for decades, eager to unseat the masters. But Pacquiao's return was different. It was the return of a legend, humbly...
Want to see that fight? People are excited. He's the guy that's coming up. He's fast, Oscar, but eventually your size is going to break.
De La Hoya spoke of the stories he had heard. Pacquiao running at dawn, meditating at dusk, and balancing church services with MIT work in between. He painted a picture of a disciplined routine that fused athleticism with spirituality, a regimen that made every other fighter's camp look like a rehearsal. Critics once scoffed that Pacquiao's age would betray him, but in De La Hoya's vivid recollection, it only sharpened his edge. Then came the reflection on their own bout years ago. La Hoya didn't mince words about the punishment he took. 15 precise punches, each landing with the force of a sermon. He spoke candidly of walking into the ring underprepared, of weight-cut mistakes that drained his strength, and of the moment he realized he was facing more than a man. He was facing a force of nature. That memory, De La Hoya confessed, had haunted him, but now it served as a testament to Pacquiao's enduring prowess. De La Hoya shifted to the nuances of sparring etiquette, telling how Pacquiao's camp forbade cameras, yet fostered an atmosphere of trust and respect. He described clandestine
Not right. I can see it in his eyes. He's not even throwing punches. What is he doing?
Pacquiao snakes his left hand through De La Hoya.
He recounted how close-quarters drills revealed Pacquiao's disdain for safety nets. There were no soft landings, no easy exits. In De La Hoya's telling, Pacquiao tackled every drill like it was fight night, as though his legacy depended on each left hook and every pivot. It was the work ethic of a man determined not just to recapture past glory, but to lay down a new chapter of greatness. As De La Hoya spoke, the narrative unfolded, Pacquiao's journey from youthful phenom to global superstar. From political office back to prize fighting, all leading to this moment. The upcoming clash with Mario Barrios was not a fling. It was a statement. De La Hoya warned that Barrios, though younger and hungry, would face a test unlike any he had known. Pacquiao's resume spoke for itself, but it was the fire in his eyes that convinced De La Hoya this was no exhibition, but a real shot at defying time itself. In those final minutes, De La Hoya begged Pacquiao to remember the joy that first lured him into the sport. He reminded him that every champion carries the hopes of fans, of nations, and of the young fighters who watched with dreams in their hearts. De La Hoya's closing observation was simple: legends never die.
He had no legs, he had no pop,
Here was a fighter in his prime, muscles rippling and eyes fixed, trying to shake the ghost of a legend. Barrios matched combinations with speed, but Pacquiao danced around him, arms low, feet light. De La Hoya mused that this was the oldest trick in boxing: disarm the young lion by showing you can still roar. He noted that Barrios had all the tools, yet absolutely no clue how to disrupt a warrior's rhythm. The room crackled when the coach barked speed, and Barrios unleashed a burst of jabs. Pacquiao bobbed and weaved, not just blocking but taunting the youth. De La Hoya identified that spark: Pacquiao's grin after every missed blow, the grin of a man who knew he still held the keys to the kingdom. He said this grin alone could break Barrios' confidence before the bell. De La Hoya insisted that fight night would hinge less on power and more on mind games. De La Hoya recounted his own early days when a jab felt like a landing rocket. He questioned whether Barrios understood that a veteran's jab carried years of pain and purpose. He warned the audience that power could fade, but precision lived forever. He argued that every veteran fighter knew one good jab could crash a young man's dream. In his telling, that jab was the trumpet announcing Pacquiao's return.
Pacquiao is making De La Hoya look old, slow, ineffectual. De La Hoya has zero answers.
The gym quieted when Pacquiao switched to defensive drills. He absorbed combinations, then countered with a flick that snapped a punching bag backward. De La Hoya praised how Pacquiao's defense had the elegance of classical dance but the intent of cold steel. He mocked modern trainers obsessed with fancy tech, saying real defense was forged in countless rounds under sweat and pain. He declared that no machine could replicate the instincts honed by real battles. He pointed out that Pacquiao's instincts were still sharper than any algorithm, but now it served as a testament to Pacquiao's enduring prowess. De La Hoya shifted to the nuances of sparring etiquette, telling how Pacquiao's camp forbade cameras, yet fostered an atmosphere of trust and respect. He described clandestine footage, brief glimpses of Pacquiao's training that leaked out, yet always guarded by a code of honor that no true fighter would break. In those hidden clips, Pacquiao moved like a man half his age, his combinations crisp, his angles unpredictable. De La Hoya noted that even in private sessions, the warrior's instinct remained razor sharp.
And I say, you know what? The spark's not there. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it.
De La Hoya shifted tone to ponder the bigger picture. Pacquiao wasn't just fighting Barrios. He was battling time itself. He asked rhetorically whether any of us truly understood what 4 decades of boxing did to a man's body and mind. He refused to romanticize. He highlighted the scars, the aches, the nights of doubt, when even legends feel the pull of rest. Yet here was Pacquiao choosing the ring over ease. De La Hoya said that choice alone was the...
Wouldn't have loved to fight Pacquiao again because he kicked my ass. Sorry. But yeah, there were many fighters out there who I would have loved.
He narrated a humorous moment when Pacquiao paused mid-drill to correct Barrios' footwork. Barrios' eyes widened as Pacquiao pointed out a tiny detail. De La Hoya said, "The scene was like watching your old teacher's school, the new recruit with no mercy." He emphasized that teaching requires mastery, and only masters teach so directly. He quipped that if Barrios felt humiliated, then he hadn't yet learned the ring's harshest lesson. De La Hoya described...
Enough of Pacquiao is what you're saying. Oh, trust me. Right when I walked into the ring, I had enough of Pacquiao.
He painted a scene of Pacquiao kneeling quietly in prayer before training. De La Hoya spoke plainly. Faith had always been Pacquiao's anchor. He refused to label it sentimental. He saw it as strategic calm. He warned that underestimating a fighter's inner peace was as foolish as ignoring his footwork. He said that peace gave Pacquiao clarity in chaos, making every punch count. De La Hoya recounted the moment Pacquiao lifted a weight heavier than any Barrios benched. He He described how the veteran handled it with grace, muscles coiling and releasing like a cat stalking prey. He mocked the idea that age meant weakness. He observed that strength often reached its peak when mind and body learned to move as one. He declared that this harmony was the true source of power. He shifted to the mental game, saying boxing was 50% physical and 50% who believed hardest. He noted Pacquiao's unwavering belief in his mission. He contrasted that with Barrios's doubts when he missed a punch or felt his breath tighten. De La Hoya declared that
You thought that when you got in the ring?
Oh, well, Rich, this documentary, my gosh, it's sad too at the end because it shows the whole Pacquiao situation.
De La Hoya addressed the commentary that Pacquiao's prime was behind him. He ridiculed pundits who measured fighters in highlights rather than heart. He insisted that fight IQ became sharper with age, like a blade honed rather than dulled. Argued that experience allowed veterans to predict and exploit mistakes in ways youth never imagine. He challenged the audience to value wisdom over raw speed. The conversation turned playful as De La Hoya imagined a tombstone inscription for Pacquiao's critics. He sketched a satirical epitaph. "Here lies your confidence, 6 rounds into the comeback." He laughed at his own jest, then warned that humor often veiled brutal truth. He said fighters who laughed last did so with the final bell. De La Hoya then mused on legacy. He painted a picture of young Filipino kids watching screens, hearts pounding at every Pacquiao jab. He argued that Pacquiao's return resonated beyond titles. It inspired belief in the impossible. He warned the audience that this fight would echo in gyms where dreams were born.
Getting beat up in training camp when preparing for Pacquiao. So I knew that was...
He shifted to the business side, noting that legends command attention beyond the ring. He quipped that Barrios might win on paper, but Pacquiao would win in headlines. He pointed out that pay-per-view numbers favored the comeback story. He questioned whether any modern debut could match the drama of a veteran's return. He asserted that boxing thrived on narratives, and few were as compelling as Pacquiao's. De La Hoya described the night before the fight, when Pacquiao lay awake, muscles humming, mind racing through scenarios. He asked if true champions ever find rest, or just rest their bodies. He said that nightmares of missed punches haunted champions, but Pacquiao used them as fuel. He called it controlled insomnia, testament to obsession with excellence. He mocked the idea that youth could intimidate a legend, compared Barrios's confidence to a spark and Pacquiao's to a wildfire. He insisted that youth without direction burned out, while veteran resolve blazed on. He contended that Barrios's energy would meet an unshakable wall of purpose.
Pacquiao was just coming up.
Yeah.
Pacquiao was like the star.
De La Hoya recalled the world's reaction when Foreman knocked out Moorer at 45. He said, "People cheered but dismissed it as a fluke." He warned that history often repeats with fairness turned on its head. He predicted that Pacquiao's win would follow Foreman's script and rewrite expectations once again. Finally, De La Hoya closed with a challenge. Bet on the legend who never left his throne. He reminded fans that boxing's heart beats strongest when the old guard defies the new. Declared that July 19th would not just be another fight night, but a referendum on belief. He ended by urging viewers to decide where they stand, on the side of proven greatness or fleeting potential. He teased that Barrios probably thought soreness was a myth. De La Hoya outlined Pacquiao's regimen of cold baths, massages, and disciplined rest. Contrasted it with modern athletes indulging in comfort and complacency. He insisted that discipline and recovery was the unspoken secret behind every comeback.
But what really screwed up my whole training for that fight was I started drinking heavy.
The press conference felt electric, each question landing like a fast jab. Reporters leaned forward, pens poised as Pacquiao smiled calmly at the podium. Barrios arrived with swagger, assuring the world he was ready. Cameras flashed constantly, capturing every raised eyebrow and clenched jaw. De La Hoya watched from the front row, nodding at each sharp exchange. At the weigh-in, tension flared when Pacquiao stepped onto the scale. The crowd hushed as digits settled, then roared in approval. Barrios tipped the scales, eyes fixed on his rival. Fighters stared each other down, neither yielding an inch. Security moved in, only to hold back the mounting energy. Social media exploded in memes and hot takes. Fans debated on live streams, some mocking Age, others praising Hart. Hashtags trended within minutes, broadcasting the bout to every corner of the globe. Even rival boxing apps sent alerts, warning users not to miss history. The noise built until it felt like the whole world held its breath. Bookmakers shifted lines as new data emerged. Early favorites wavered when insiders reported Pacquiao's blistering sparring rounds. Barrios' odds improved after his own highlight. Clips circulated, yet most experts still placed faith in the veteran's ring IQ. Money flowed in both directions. Pacquiao's
during training camp, and nobody knew. Oh yeah. I mean, it gets so. I was literally a dead man walking into the
comeback fights carry a special weight in boxing lore. Legends like Foreman and Hopkins prove that age can be a weapon. Each step back into the ring defies expectations and reminds fans why they fell in love with the sport. Pacquiao's return echoed those epic moments, promising one more classic. The romance of the veteran's tale held more power than any knockout. In the final training montage, Pacquiao ran through drills with laser focus. His gloves snapped against pads, feet danced across the canvas, and sweat flew like rain. Barrios matched rounds with youthful zeal, but his moves lacked the same polish. The montage ended on a close-up of Pacquiao's face, eyes fixed on an unseen horizon. Nothing could shake the calm intensity there. Ringside fashion stole glances, from tailored suits to flashy entrance robes. Pacquiao preferred a simple robe stitched with a small flag over his heart. Barrios chose bright colors and bold patterns, aiming to stand out. Contrast spoke volumes. Veteran humility versus youthful flair. Fans dressed to the nines, turning the arena into a runway. If you're fired up for the main event,
I always was like here, you know, and my mouthpiece, which I had